Ethan Cole had never expected to be on a planet like Lyria 5. Even after years of interstellar diplomacy, he still felt the thrill of stepping into worlds so different from Earth. Lyria 5 floated in the middle of a violet star system, its twin suns casting an otherworldly glow over forests with towering crystalline trees. Ethan's shuttle landed smoothly on a platform suspended above a deep, glowing canyon, and he stepped out, taking in the alien air. It smelled faintly metallic but not unpleasant, like a promise of something extraordinary. He had been summoned for a mission unlike any other. The ruling family of Lyria 5 had requested his presence personally. He was to meet two sisters, Lyra and Selene, who were the daughters of the Planetary Council's leader. Their society had watched humanity from afar and now wanted to form an alliance, but they had a unique tradition. A foreign envoy must choose a partner from the ruling siblings if they were to be officially trusted. The thought alone made Ethan's chest tighten. He had negotiated countless agreements and navigated tense encounters, but this was different, personal, emotional. A luminous corridor led him to a chamber where the sisters waited. Ethan had seen their images through holograms before, but reality was far more imposing. Lyra sat with perfect poise, her skin reflecting faint light like polished pearl, her expression calm and calculating. Selene leaned casually against a column, her hair a wave of silver light and her eyes sparkled with daring curiosity. Both were beautiful, but that was not the point. Ethan had to understand their minds, their philosophies, and somehow decide who could be his partner. "Captain Cole," Lyra said softly, her voice smooth and measured, "we have observed you for 2 months. Through simulations, through reports. You possess qualities our people admire, intelligence, bravery, and the human resilience that often surprises us." Selene's voice was sharp, playful, almost teasing. "But 2 months is not enough, is it? We need to see you in person, see how you act, how you think. Only then can you, or we, know who is worthy." Ethan felt the weight of their words. It was not a simple choice. Both sisters had strengths that complemented him differently. Lyra's calm reasoning could guide complex political decisions. Selene's adventurous spirit might inspire innovation and courage. Choosing one meant leaving the other, and that felt impossible. The sisters explained the trials. Each was designed to test a different aspect of his character: courage, strategy, empathy, and adaptability. Ethan had no time to hesitate. He accepted, knowing that his actions would determine not only his personal fate but also the alliance between humanity and Lyria 5. The first trial was in the forests of Lyria 5, where massive crystalline trees cast colorful shadows across the ground. Ethan was instructed to retrieve a rare plant that only bloomed once every 5 years. The plant's petals could be used to cure certain illnesses. Lyra accompanied him. She moved with elegance, pointing out hidden dangers, explaining the ecosystem and observing Ethan's decisions. He was impressed by her insight. Every step he took was measured, yet he felt the thrill of genuine exploration. "Do you always approach challenges this carefully?" Ethan asked as he crouched to examine the base of a crystalline tree. Lyra's lips curved into a small smile. "Careful observation is the key to understanding. Bravery without thought leads to mistakes. Humans often rush, do you not?" Ethan laughed lightly. "Maybe. But sometimes rushing saves more than it loses." The two navigated a sudden cave-in that threatened to trap them. Ethan's quick thinking and improvisation saved them, earning a glance of genuine respect from Lyra. He realized that she valued intelligence combined with instinct. Her approval was subtle but unmistakable. The second trial was designed by Selene. Ethan had to navigate a floating canyon filled with shifting platforms and unstable energy bridges. It was a test of courage and adaptability. Selene zipped across the platforms effortlessly, teasing him to keep up. "Come on, human. Don't let fear hold you," she called, her laughter echoing through the canyon. Ethan hesitated, then leapt, using his environment cleverly, balancing instinct with logic. Each jump brought him closer to her, and he felt an adrenaline rush unlike anything before. Selene clapped as he landed safely, eyes sparkling with excitement. "You're surprisingly good," she said, her voice carrying a mix of admiration and challenge. "I like that." Through these trials, Ethan began to understand the sisters in ways he hadn't expected. Lyra taught him the value of patience, of measured choices. Selene challenged him to embrace risk, to trust in his instincts and courage. Both were teaching him, shaping him, and testing him in ways far beyond physical trials. At night, they returned to the palace, a structure that seemed to float above the canyon, reflecting the light of the twin suns. Ethan found himself alone on the balcony with the sisters, gazing at the glowing forests below. It was peaceful, almost serene, but he knew that his decision loomed like a shadow over the coming days. "I did not think a human could adapt so quickly," Lyra said, her voice soft as the wind. "You surprise me." Celine leaned on the railing beside him. "And you still hesitate, choosing one of us. It's not just about ability. You feel it too, don't you?" Ethan looked between them. He did feel it. He felt admiration, respect, attraction, and a growing connection he had never experienced with anyone before. But he also felt pressure, the weight of tradition and duty pressing on him. "You've both been incredible," he said honestly. "I've learned more in these 2 days than I have in months of diplomacy. But I have to be honest, I don't know how I can choose. I respect and admire both of you in completely different ways." The sisters shared a quiet look. It was the first time Ethan noticed a hint of worry in their expressions. He realized that his indecision was more than personal. It could affect the fragile alliance and the sisters' trust in him. The following morning, a new trial began. It was a simulation that tested empathy. Ethan was placed in scenarios where he had to negotiate disputes between factions of Lyria 5, prevent conflicts, and save lives. The sisters observed silently, occasionally giving subtle guidance. He succeeded not by force or cunning alone, but by listening, understanding, and making choices that balanced logic with compassion. Both Lyra and Celine seemed impressed. Ethan felt a swell of pride but also an acute awareness that he could not rely solely on these victories to make his ultimate choice. He was forming bonds, learning values, and understanding cultures that were alien yet oddly familiar. The sisters had grown from figures of authority into people whose trust and respect he wanted to earn sincerely. As the sun set over Lyria 5, casting violet and gold shadows across the floating palace, Ethan realized that the trials were more than tests. They were lessons in understanding, patience, and humanity's place among the stars. He had seen courage in himself he did not know existed and discovered a connection to two beings whose culture and intelligence challenged every preconceived notion he had of life beyond Earth. He knew the day of choice was coming. The thought made his stomach tighten, but it also ignited determination. He would not make a hasty decision. He had to understand not only their strengths and compatibility, but also how he could honor their society and his own humanity. As night fell, Ethan stood on the balcony, looking out at the glowing forests. Lyra and Celine were beside him, silent, watching. He understood that the choice would test not just his heart but his mind, his judgment, and his courage. Whatever decision he made, it would shape the future of two worlds. Ethan took a deep breath. The alien sisters had waited 2 months, observing, analyzing, hoping. Now the moment was approaching when he would be forced to choose one. But the truth was, he could not yet see a way to make that choice. Both had qualities that challenged and inspired him, and both demanded a decision he was not yet ready to make. The night deepened, stars glittering across two suns' fading glow. Ethan felt the pressure of the coming day, but also a strange sense of excitement. He had faced dangers, tests, and alien worlds, and he was still standing. The sisters had prepared him for more than choice. They had prepared him for understanding, for seeing beyond the obvious, for finding a solution that might surprise them all. Ethan smiled faintly. The decision was coming, and he would face it. But for now, he watched the glowing forests of Lyria 5, the floating palace shimmering in twin sunlight, and the alien sisters whose patience and wisdom had brought him here. He had survived the trials, learned the lessons, and formed connections that went beyond duty. And he knew that whatever happened next, he would do so with courage, respect, and the ingenuity that made humans human. The next morning, Lyria 5 was alive with energy. The floating palace glimmered in the twin suns, reflecting light across the canyon below. Captain Ethan Cole knew that today would be the day of choice. He felt a strange mix of anticipation and anxiety. For 2 months, the sisters had observed him, testing his courage, his intelligence, and his heart. Now it was time to make a decision, but he still felt unsure. Lyra and Celine met him in the central hall, their presence commanding yet calm. Lyra's eyes held a quiet intensity, while Celine's spark of daring and mischief was stronger than ever. Both radiated confidence and grace, yet Ethan could sense the unspoken tension. He could see in their faces that they too understood the weight of his choice. "You have prepared well, Captain Cole," Lyra said softly, "but the decision must be yours. Not guided by anyone else, not by fear or desire, only by what you truly believe will serve both worlds best." Celine stepped forward, her voice playful yet serious. "And remember, human, bravery is not just about facing danger. It is about honesty, courage, and seeing possibilities beyond tradition." Ethan nodded. He felt the pressure but also a strange clarity. Today was not just about choosing a partner. It was about finding a solution that could honor both sisters, his own values, and the fragile alliance between humanity and Lyria 5. The ceremonial chamber was filled with the planetary council, representatives from various factions and observers from Earth. Ethan could feel the eyes of thousands on him. Every step he took echoed through the hall as he approached the central platform. The sisters flanked him on either side, their expressions calm but expectant. A sudden alarm interrupted the ceremony. Red lights flashed across the hall and a deep, urgent sound filled the chamber. Ethan's heart raced. A rogue faction had infiltrated the palace, aiming to sabotage the alliance. It was an attack that could destroy trust between humans and Lyria 5 before it even began. Ethan sprang into action. He didn't wait for orders. His human instincts, honed through years of training, took over. He instructed the council members to secure themselves while guiding the sisters to safety. Lyra followed his tactical commands without hesitation, while Celine used her agility and daring to protect the more vulnerable members of the assembly. They moved like a team, each contributing their strengths. Ethan's ingenuity allowed them to bypass blocked corridors and disable security traps set by the attackers. Lyra's strategic thinking helped anticipate the intruders' movements, while Celine's fearless energy disrupted their plans. Together, they were unstoppable. In the main control room, Ethan faced the final obstacle. A rogue energy core threatened to explode, which would destroy the palace and kill everyone inside. He analyzed the core, noting the sequence of locks and energy patterns. Lyra offered guidance, explaining the technical structure based on her knowledge of Lyria 5's technology. Celine jumped between consoles, manipulating controls with precision and boldness. Ethan devised a plan. He instructed Celine to stabilize the energy flow while he and Lyra rewired the containment circuits. Time moved in a blur. Sparks flew, alarms blared, and the building shook, but Ethan's human ingenuity shone through. With careful calculation and quick action, they contained the energy core just in time. The rogue faction was apprehended, and the palace security regained control. The council erupted in relief and applause, recognizing that it was not only Ethan's courage but also the combined effort of both sisters that had saved the day. Ethan, Lyra, and Celine stood together, their bond now stronger than any ceremonial tradition could create. As the dust settled, Ethan realized something important. The choice before him was not about personal preference or emotion alone. It was about understanding, respect, and creating a solution that could honor the values of Lyria 5 and humanity. He turned to the sisters who were waiting quietly. "I've made my decision," Ethan said, his voice steady. "But it is not what tradition expects." Lyra and Celine exchanged a quick glance, curiosity and apprehension flickering in their eyes. "I propose a partnership that includes both of you," Ethan continued. "Not as rivals, but as equals. Together, we can guide the alliance, combining your strengths with human ingenuity. Lyra's wisdom and strategy, Celine's courage and daring, and my experience as a human diplomat. This way, neither of you is left out and both worlds benefit." The chamber fell silent. The council members whispered among themselves, unsure how to react. This was unprecedented. No envoy had ever proposed such a solution. Ethan could feel the tension, but he also felt the truth of his choice. This was the human way, finding solutions beyond tradition, beyond expectation, to create something better for everyone. Lyra stepped forward first. Her calm, measured gaze met Ethan's. "You are remarkable, Captain Cole," she said softly. "Your choice shows insight, courage, and respect. I had not imagined a human capable of such thinking." Celine grinned, her eyes sparkling. "And I thought humans were predictable. You surprise me, Ethan Cole. You've turned tradition on its head and somehow it works." The council murmured but slowly nodded. Some looked skeptical, others impressed. Over time, acceptance grew. The human proposal was unconventional, but it had saved lives, preserved trust, and demonstrated a level of understanding that no rigid tradition could match. Ethan felt relief wash over him. He had chosen a path that honored both sisters and bridged the gap between human and alien perspectives. It was a choice of unity, innovation, and respect rather than division. In the following days, the alliance solidified. Ethan worked closely with both sisters to implement new strategies, blending human and Lyria 5 methods in governance, technology, and cultural exchange. Lyra's strategic insight and Selena's daring approach created solutions no single individual could achieve alone. Ethan also found himself growing personally. He had formed genuine bonds with both Lyra and Selene, learning from them, laughing with them, and understanding their unique perspectives. Neither was simply a partner. They were teachers, friends, and allies in the truest sense. One evening, as the twin suns set over the canyon, Ethan stood on the palace balcony, flanked by Lyra and Selene. The sky glowed with hues of violet and gold, and the air was filled with the soft hum of the planet's crystalline forests. Ethan looked at both sisters, feeling a deep sense of gratitude and respect. "You both trusted me," he said quietly, "even when I struggled to understand, even when the choice seemed impossible. Thank you for believing in me." Lyra placed a gentle hand on his shoulder. "And you showed us that humans can think beyond expectations, beyond traditions. That is a rare quality, Captain Cole." Selene leaned close, her usual playful spark softened. "And you proved that courage is not just about action. It's about honesty, intelligence, and respect. You've earned more than trust, Ethan. You've earned partnership." Ethan smiled. He knew that the future held challenges, as it always did, but he also knew that together they could face anything. Human ingenuity, combined with the strengths of Lyra and Selene, had created a bond that could endure threats, bridge worlds, and inspire cooperation beyond imagination. The alliance between Earth and Lyria 5 flourished. Trade, technology, and cultural exchange expanded rapidly, and humans gained a new respect across the stars. Ethan continued to work with the sisters, navigating diplomacy, exploring new worlds, and solving problems that no one species could face alone. But beyond the politics and strategy, Ethan cherished the connection he had formed. He had not chosen one over the other in a simple sense. Instead, he had chosen a path of unity, respect, and innovation. He had honored both sisters, their society, and humanity itself. One night, as the twin suns set and stars emerged in the violet sky, Ethan stood quietly on the balcony, watching the forests below glow softly. Lyra and Selene were beside him, silent, sharing the moment. He realized that the greatest strength of humans was not just courage or technology, but the ability to see beyond limits, to find solutions where none seemed possible. And in that moment, Ethan understood that he had done exactly that. He had faced the impossible choice and found a way to honor everyone. He had acted as a human, not bound by fear, tradition, or expectation, but guided by wisdom, courage, and the belief that the future could always be better than the past. The night deepened, stars glittering above Lyria 5, and the palace floated silently over the glowing canyon. Ethan felt a sense of peace he had never known. The trials were over, the decision was made, and humanity had gained new allies among the stars. And the alien sisters, patient and wise, had found a human capable of understanding them, not just as rulers or partners, but as equals, friends, and co-creators of a future that neither world could have imagined alone. Ethan smiled. The adventure was far from over, but for now he had faced the greatest test of all. Not fear, not danger, but choice. And he had succeeded. The twin suns disappeared below the horizon, leaving the palace glowing softly, a beacon of unity, courage, and the remarkable possibilities when humans and aliens work together.